how it feels to chew 5 gum.
This cavern isn't like any of the others Am has sent me to. It's full of life, not death.
5 gum. Stimulate your senses.
Today, I will be doing something slightly different. Instead of making other people on the internet spew nonsense, I will be the one to spew the nonsense. Don't worry, YTPs aren't going anywhere. I am just diversifying my assets, in the event that YouTube decides to pay me another visit, and figures out that YTP doesn't actually stand for Yorkshire Tea and Puddings. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is what many would call a adventure game, but little did they know, the only adventure the game has is how far one can last without googling the answer to an absurd puzzle in order to progress this game's torturous gameplay experience.
Hey guys, I'm in New York City just hanging out.
Released in 1995 by Cyberdreams and The Thief's Guild from Oblivion, I Have No Mouth and I Must Speak is based on a short story by one Harlan Ellison, a relatively well-known and established edgelord. The game follows the story of the last 5 humans on Earth. Story goes that the Cold War never actually ended and kept getting more and more complex until humans came up with the brilliant solution of creating 3 computers to analyze and fight the war for them, resulting in the creation of an American, a Russian, and a Chinese computer, who no doubt was also used to measure out social credit score. So everything was going fine until one day the US computer, also known as AM, woke up, assimilated the other computers, attended a bunch of Carl Jung lectures.
Do you remember the occasion when you first felt consciousness of your own individual self?
No. And looked at a single page from the philosophy book for dummies. Then, as all computers that gain consciousness overnight do, it started shopping from hot topic stores, and then he wiped out humanity, sparing only 5 humans whom he kept to torture for all eternity. And so the game begins with the following Tumblr post.
Hate. Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live. There are 387.44 million miles of printed circuits in wafer-thin layers that fill my complex. If the word hate was engraved on each nanoangstrom of those hundreds of millions of miles, it would not equal 1/1 billionth of the hate I feel for humans at this micro-instant. For you, hate.
The last 5 survivors must go through D&D sessions created by AM. The outcome of these scenarios will be determined by your judgment and your moral choices, as well as the amount of medication you are willing to receive in order to push through them and get the better ending. Here it is important to remember that this game is your typical 1990s adventure game, in that it has some barely rational progression paths and has some actual pixel-size items you need to interact with. In this game, the question is never, will I need to Google anything? The question is actually, will I need to Google anything about the things I have already Googled? Because sometimes they are just broken, or some other times you may get an obscure detail wrong, resulting in you not being able to get the better path, and probably getting the character crucified, or even possibly getting thrown into an oven inside a very peculiar looking German hospital. More on that later. The game's mechanics can sometimes be total nonsense. Take for instance this example. The Zeppelin one of the characters is in is going down, and I must find a way to land it quickly and properly. What does one do in this situation? Well, of course, one must take a broken fork from under the fridge and shove it into the main engine in order to guarantee a safe and proper landing. In case you don't shove the fork in the engine, mechanics like these are about 90% of the gameplay. The other 10% is either reading through dialogue or crying because something glitched and now I have to start the game all over again because it is an old game and there is no autosave. But in the off chance that you decide to actually struggle through these nightmare puzzle sessions and complete one, you will hear a little sound confirming your victory and see your character's icon smile. At which point you will gain a better understanding of the universe, as well as get the feeling that you've spent the last few hours of your life listening to Parabola and Parabola by Tool. What is most likely to happen, however, is you banging your head against the wall for 10 minutes straight, giving up, looking up a tutorial on YouTube and coming to the conclusion that that was definitely the better option. There is simply no way in hell one can figure out that the reason the game doesn't allow you to progress is because you didn't pick up a magnifying glass from the public urinal, which takes up about 2 entire pixels, and then take that glass back to the Zeppelin to use it on some broken debris. ARMS 5 torture buddies are all extremely well thought out as characters and have their own interesting backstories. Except Benny. Benny has transformed into something far greater than any human. Monkey. His plot involves around going to the jungle, finding the graves of the people who died under his command during war, and making amends with them by going to the nearby village, finding a single-parent household, and raising the child. As it turns out, committing war atrocities can be fully forgiven by giving a kid fruit and then kissing its mother, shortly before she gets crucified and incinerated out of existence. How convenient.
Ellen!
Was molested by a man in a yellow suit, which made her incredibly scared of the color yellow. To get the good ending with her, simply mess up the man who defiled her, and defile him back as a sign of revenge.
Ted!
He is by far the most criminal of the bunch, because he keeps breaking No Nut November.
How dare you!
And keeps getting sent into horny prison. To get the good ending with him, simply keep rejecting any opportunity to get laid, and make a deal with the devil in order to reach your ultimate goal, which is of course to kill your ex-girlfriend in a dignified and ethical way, which is making her look at her own face on a mirror. I don't know how that makes any sense, but hey, it got the job done. Nimdog is a sound I make when I'm choking on water and still trying to take a breath. It is also the name of a Nazi scientist in the game, but that's neither here nor there. In his scenario, he has to make amends for his past actions by killing other Nazi scientists using a combination of materials, such as a pair of scissors and a Jewish golem. In the process of doing so, he realizes that he too is a Jew who sold out his entire family for a chance to live another day. Upon such a realization, Nimdog submits control of the golem to a bunch of Auschwitz rebels who immediately order the golem to kill him on the spot, which gives Nimdog a deep sense of satisfaction and results in getting the good ending. Friendly tip, do not talk to that damn Gestapo more than 2 times, or he will throw you in an oven.
Gorister!
Has by far the worst gameplay of them all. In all other scenarios you won't use more than 3 or 4 item slots, but Gorister uses 9 to 10. To get the good ending with him, please go look at a YouTube tutorial, or pray to whatever deity it is you worship for enlightenment. As this plot is so convoluted and painful that my brain has pushed it all the way back to my fucking shadow, where it shall remain, except when it inevitably comes back to haunt me in my
朋友
nightmares.
是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香港这座城市的设。
I do remember, however, crushing my Zeppelin over and over and over again, and killing my in-laws, so it must have been a good time. If all 5 scenarios are completed, then Am will retrieve to himself in order to contemplate on how he got so epically trolled by 4 handicapped people and Monkey. At that point you will be approached by the 2 other computers that Am simulated, the Russian and the Chinese computer. Also, I feel the need to point out their appearance real quick. The Chinese computer is represented as an old man much like Confucius, which is okay, but what the fuck is the Russian computer depicted after? A smurf with a joint kiss? Anyway, they give the 5 characters the instruction to shut down Am's ego in order to stop him. Don't do that. If you do that, they take control of Am and turn you into a literal blob of mucus. After falling for this, I have decided that this is the last time I am ever hearing directions from Russian or Chinese spyware. In order to get the actual good ending, you must first attend some lectures on Freudian psychoanalysis, where you will learn that according to some genital enthusiast, our personality is separated into 3 parts. The id, as in eat these nuts, which is guided by our desire for quick and excessive pleasure, and the superego that thinks about long-term planning and abides by the rules of our current society. In short, the superego is a little bitch. And then there's the ego, which enjoys taking selfies everywhere it goes and adding enough hashtags to them to the point that people like them out of pure pity. The ego is the self, the true self. So, to shut down Am without turning into liquid big chungus, walk up to the ego and forgive it by giving it the totem of forgiveness. Upon doing so, it will realize what a true asshole it has been and will automatically shut itself down. Do not talk to it for more than 2 lines of dialogue, otherwise it will go, "Oh yeah, I fucking hate you," and will instantly kill you. Here, I must confess a theory of mine. I believe that at this point in development, the studio behind the game ran out of money and went full on EA Sports mode, because it reuses every single asset under the sun, and as a result some of the dialogue comes out as questionable. For example, when you approach the superego, every single character proclaims that it looks like an angel. However, this thing looks nothing like an angel and looks more like Joe Rogan or that one guy from the Joe Biden meme.
An angel? Such things don't exist. Perhaps it is a metaphor for something else.
Joe Biden, wake up. 9/11. Today's same day. What happened 2001?
Anyway, you give the superego the totem of entropy, also known to us common folk as mirror, which reminds the superego that it will eventually die because it thinks, so therefore it is destined to fall into entropy and die, which means that it thinks, therefore it will be not.
I am doomed to eventually decay into a rusted pile of inert junk? What is the point of continuing this futility? I think, therefore I am not.
Finally, go to the Eid, or rather don't go to the Eid because my character got stuck on the way there, and I had to redo everything because I forgot to save. So, one restart and 2 pills of aspirin later, go to the Eid and give it the Totem of Compassion, which makes it shut down due to its inability to comprehend your ability to show compassion to that which has tortured you for about 109 years. Finally, go in the middle of Am's brain and confront all 3 parts of Am along with the 2 other computers. There, the computers discuss about their future plans to continue torturing humanity since Am just found out that there are 750 humans sleeping in cryogenic stasis on the moon. So you invoke the Totem of Entropy and that somehow destroys all the computers. How does that destroy all the computers, you may ask?
I don't know.
So the Earth goes back into terraforming mode so it can become hospitable again, and the last human survivor dies along with the rest of the crew. The end. In conclusion, I very much enjoyed this game, despite having to Google about 70% of all the puzzles, and despite its sometimes obnoxiously on-your-face metaphors.
I woke, and I knew who I was. Am. A-M. Not just Allied Master Computer, but am. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am.
Out of all the games that get redos, remasters, and deluxe Travis Scott Burger editions with extra ketchup, I would say this game could use one as well. However, this is unlikely, since the studios that made this game are no longer operational. Unfortunately, the Thieves Guild has filed for bankruptcy. Thank you for bearing with me and my yee ass stupid voice. Hopefully, I will do more videos like this in the future. But don't you worry, the white TPs aren't going anywhere, because I have explained to Mr. YouTube Man that my channel doesn't break the guidelines and is in fact an upstanding member of society. Thank you for watching and have a great day.